facade.
Very good. Well, let's get some viewers. Let's introduce our guest today shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And we're live, but let's see. Perry, we're live, but go ahead and stream it to the public, will you please? We have no viewers.
Metz, you actually talk like you know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Hey, got me this far, didn't it?
That sure did. That sure did. A good old fake it till you make it, baby. That's a good philosophy to live by.
Hey, we have one viewer, so two viewers. So Palesko and Perry are on, which is great. And maybe they'll listen to the story here. Here we go, slowly climbing.
Just chime in when you guys jump on.
Yeah.
I figured I'd go with the full beard and the hat because, it looks like a guy you don't want to trust.
Yeah, you're right.
All
right. So here we go. Mr. Hanzu.
Mr. Hanzu.
Sorry, had trouble getting connected. Not a problem. You're not alone. There seems to be a lot of people. Yeah, you stole Hanzu's look, he's saying.
Yeah.
Hey, MAIA Edge is on. They're very excited.
Very excited. No, truth be told, I had to get up early today. I brought my truck and my boat in to go get detailed. So I'd been on client calls. So it's been a morning, man. But exciting stuff happening. Clients taken to the next level. It's exciting.
Yeah. Well,
it's exciting.
You know what's exciting? Is it public knowledge about Mr. Friedman, one of our, I don't know. I just got word as I was walking in, Mr. Friedman here, one of our CMA affiliates and Elite, he may break six figures this month.
Oh, love that.
Which is phenomenal, right? But okay, let's Tass, would you like to introduce our guest?
Who do we have on today? No, I'm just teasing.
I have a couple because I think we advertised Mr. Gary, but being that we only have 11 people, he's been booted. we have another person coming in.
Well, through the backup plan. No, listen. So Mr. Sean Gary is going to come on here in just a second, and and he'll give you, I think, more of an accurate timeline than I will. But I know that he had called looking for some help for his school, and he's a relatively new school, meaning he opened within the last, I believe, 4 years, and we had talked a little bit and about how we could help, and a little bit of it. He'll talk more about it. He's got some investors involved as well. But there was some trust issues, right? Like, well, I just don't know if we can trust you guys, and is this really going to work? And I had talked to him for several months before he actually decided to take the plunge and go the dark side. And then he came on, and we'll talk more about this in a minute. But then he came on board, and just like a lot of people, hesitant to pulled some triggers, and one of the clients, this is one of the clients, right? When I describe clients in general, this is like a client that I just love to work with because, he's an action taker, he gets it done. And as a result of it, he's had tremendous success in his martial arts school in really a short period of time. And I really think his story is inspirational for a lot of people. And I know that he's just over the moon about where he's at and where he thought he might be able to be versus where he's at now. We're two different things. So an action taker, one of those guys that just gets it done. And I think when we hear the story about where he was to where he is today, not only from a financial standpoint and financial success, but just with, what he has is and what the team that he's built is incredible. So I'm excited to have him on. He's got a lot of energy and speaks the way it is. So excited to have on Sean Gary.
All right. Well, here he comes, Mr. Gary.
Oh, I wasn't there yet. I was talking the whole time.
There you are.
Like, where's my face?
Hey, there you are, sir. So, hey, thanks for coming on. But the title of the show, right? Because again, I think we hit a chord with people in the industry that watch this show. You know, all 6 of them, and they can relate in some way. But I think the biggest issue is because I've been doing this for 20 years, consulting people in the industry. But the biggest problem is, there's a lot of people in the industry that are consultants that want to say, we can help. There are good ones, there are bad ones. And when I say bad ones, I think there are good ones and there are better ones, right? And the other thing is the problem we face is the hesitancy with the culture of the martial arts. If you're a master in whatever style you are, if you are the head honcho, if you've been in this business for 30 plus years, and then you got 2 goons like us that say, hey, we can help. I think there's hesitancy. The other problem in this industry, and it just is what it is. You know, people that struggle, the old traditional stylists that struggle in the martial arts business will knock anybody that is not struggling, that has a well-run dojo or financially successful martial arts school. I won't call it a dojo, right? And then they will just come up with their own justifications on why they're successful financially and why I'm not. And then that's where the term McDojo came out, because there are schools out there that will just nickel and dime and sell that make a lot of money. But then there's schools that make a lot of money that have a lot of integrity, that put out a phenomenal product, great quality martial artists. And then you have schools that are broke, that put out poor martial artists and they don't make money. And then there's people that are poor and make phenomenal martial artists. But at the end of the day, you were skeptical when you heard, first of all, let's just go here. What style do you teach? Where are you from? Where are you at?
We're in Houston, Texas. So I teach a mix of, it's mainly karate. I came up doing karate and kickboxing. So it's mainly karate, kickboxing. It's got a little judo and jiu-jitsu in it. So it's kind of a mixed style, but it's rooted. It's similar to what you guys do at CMA.
And how long have you been in business?
This school I opened in 2019. I opened in 2019. Yeah, 2019. I opened 8 months before COVID hit.
Okay, so what were you doing before that? Were you working for another school?
Yep. So I worked for my instructor for years. He basically raised me, man. He was like my dad. I grew up with a single mom, so he took me in and just took care of me, man. Showed me the ropes, and I came up, started teaching for him when I was, 12 with the little bitty kids. Started teaching for him all through high school, and then ended up running a couple schools for him, man. I opened up one. I ran this big one. He was getting older. I opened up another school for him, and then he passed maybe 2016. And I stayed working for the people that were running it then for a while, but it was time for me to go. So I came and opened up my thing. But I knew about you guys because I remember, and that's one of those things you're talking about the old schools. My guy was old school. He was a killer, man. He was awesome. But he used to have your MA Success magazines on the desk, and I'd see it and I'd be like, hey, dude, what's that about? And he's like, oh, man, these guys just – and he was great. He was a beautiful person. He was amazing. We'd be like, these guys are in it for the money, man. I don't think it's – so it was that attitude. But in my head, I was always like, what are they? Like, because I like money. So, but, so we never kind of pulled the trigger on it. And then when I got here and opened up, COVID hit. When COVID hit, I started seeing the Chris Rodriguez stuff, like how to do the online, that she had the whole thing where she was like sending at-home challenges. And I think she kept us going, man, learning what I learned from her, how to use Zoom and do all that. And then that kind of branched into you guys.
And where was your skepticism once you started hearing some of the systems, or were you skeptical? Like you weren't, it wasn't that you didn't trust us, I don't think, but I don't know if you trusted that it would work for you, or what was your deal?
Yeah. Well, I was in a spot where I was doing it old school. You'd walk into my school and, hey, I'm interested in classes. I'd say, take your shoes off, get on the mat. They get on the mat after class. Hey, how do I sign up? Buy a uniform. It's $100 a month, man. Oh, there's 2 of you. It's $100 for the first, $80 for the second. That's how I did it. It was just how I always did it. People were coming in. I'd never seen like big success. I saw some schools, these chains, you know, and they seemed successful, but I didn't know what the difference was. I mean, I was new to actually running it other than just being on the mat. And so I think the skepticism was really just, it was fear of, I don't have any money to invest in anything. You know, how am I going to invest in consulting and learning this when I'm not even really taking a paycheck? Like how am I, is this going to work? It was just scary, the commitment of putting money out there. I wanted the advice, but Tassoul was great about that in the beginning anyway. He gave me so much just out the gate to just show me what was possible, you know?
And
so
before you were a client, right?
Before I was a client. Yeah. I mean, I called the first time I set up a call, and it was with Mr. Metzger. And he told me some stuff, and then he immediately said that I was going to talk with you. He's like, I think you're going to fit with Shane Tassoul. I was like, okay, cool. So we got on the phone. And then from there, it was, you know, when I got started, I didn't have, you guys just want me to tell about how this worked. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when I got started, I didn't have any money to get started, of course. I'd left that school. I'd quit everything I'd done, man. It was nuts. It was the hugest change in my life ever. Everything changed at one time. So I had to find some money. I went to the banks, man. I had my little fancy projections and my little business plan, man. And they were just like, do you have 30%? Do you have 40%? Whatever. And no, I don't. I wouldn't be here at the bank if I had that much money. So they were just rejecting me, and I said, well, I got to find a way. So I found a couple of investors who were old friends. The first investor, what's really crazy, this is wild, is when I was about 16, maybe 14, 15, 16, he was like 30, and he came and was taking lessons from us. And he comes in, and we're doing some stuff, and my instructor came up to me, and he goes, hey, I want you to put it on him. And I said, what do you mean? He's like 30, man. He's big, and and he's a white belt or an orange belt. I'm a black belt by then. And he said that he doesn't, because I was helping teach him in class, and he said he doesn't want to learn from a kid like you. You're too young. He goes, so show him what you got. So we start fighting, and it was the first person I ever knocked out. Hit him with a roundhouse in the face. And I was like, and my instructor looks at me, and he's like, yes. And but afterwards, he comes up to me, and he's like, hey, I apologize. I respect what you do. And he was my student for a long time. Got a black belt with me. So years later, he ended up being one of the investors, which is a really cool story. But so anyway, I got these couple of investors, and then I had to bring them on board to this consulting, and they were like, well, what's it going to do? You already know what you're doing. Like, how's this going to help? And I said, I don't know how it's going to help, but it's going to help. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what they have to share. I'm going to learn. And you were already giving me stuff for, I don't know, a couple months, maybe.
Okay. I want to pause there, right? Because I want people to understand that you didn't have any money, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just want to reiterate so anybody watching can hear this when we say it. But are you saying Shane helped you for a couple months for free without paying anything or signing up?
I felt like it had to be like 3 months. I don't remember. It's been a while, but yeah, he was just giving me, he was showing me that you guys could help. Because I told him too. I said I need to be convinced, and I need to convince my guys too. So I needed to move the needle a little bit. And Shane he'd answer the phone anytime I called, texted him. I mean, he was my boy. He was taking me through all this stuff, and I started seeing it move, and I was like, guys, we got to do this. We got to go all in. So we did.
Were they convinced as easily as you, or no?
No. They're good businessmen, man. They're very skeptical. But in the end, I told them, I said, look, this is what I do. This is my thing. I see what's going on. You need to trust me. And they were like, well, that's why we're invested with you, man. Do it. You feel like it's right. Let's go. So it took a little bit, but once we took off, they saw it.
So what was your school doing at that time? What were you doing when you first called me?
So I went back and looked yesterday, and my reports are kind of weird from then, but I joined you guys in November of 2020. And the earliest thing I can find that's actually an accurate report was from May of 2020. And I was doing like 10 grand a month.
You were grossing 10 grand a month.
Grossing 10 grand in May of 2020. And I had a good amount of students, man. I must have had close to 100. I mean, which makes sense. I was charging $100 a month. So I may have, might have been right around there. So that's what I was grossing then.
But 10 grand a month wasn't making you a lot of money or any money.
No, it was
covering the bills.
It was covering the bills, and what was keeping me afloat was my after-school program, which I had going on in the back. That was a separate thing, so that's not counting the after-school program.
Okay.
That's
so 10 grand a month. Now, before we go through more of the story, what did you gross last month? Where are we at?
Last month, I knew you were going to ask that. Last month we did, just with the martial arts program, we did 67K last month. So that's a crazy jump.
Wait, I didn't even hear it. You actually froze when you said last month. I don't know if it was me, but
I can't share my secrets, man.
What did you do last month?
We grossed 67K last month.
67,000
on the martial arts side, not the after school side.
Just martial arts side.
And is that a record?
No, but it's awesome. We've done better. We've done better. So I think our record month was December, which was awesome. That was like 85. So 85K was nuts. Of course, we had the whole holiday event and all that stuff. But all that stuff comes in, man. It's
what was your record prior to jumping on board with us?
Man, I looked around and it was probably before jumping on board with y'all, it was probably maybe 15. And I wish I could tell you an extra accurate number, but I wasn't keeping those numbers. That's one of the things I learned from you guys. That's what Tassoul said the other day. I was on the phone with him. He goes, "Whoa, you have these numbers?" I was like, "I do." "Yes, sir." So let me shut this phone off. Yeah, I actually have the numbers now, so I'll be able to tell you again.
All right. Hey, let's hear you role play an incoming call.
Yeah, all right. Welcome to Fire Martial Arts. I just blocked a call from a student. Oops, I'll call him back. So I didn't have those numbers back then, man. I didn't have them. I wish I could tell you. I look back at the reports and they're kind of whack. They look a little weird, but yeah, it definitely wasn't that much. It's immediately started growing whenever I got with you guys. Immediately. I remember my first paid in full. I remember the student. I about lost my mind.
Okay.
I offered him the options. I showed him the options, and I was like, he's never going to go for it. And he goes, "Oh, man, let's just do option A, brother. Let's just get it done right now." And I tried to stay cool. I was like, yeah, people do that all the time. Yeah. It's like, just be cool, man. Pretend it's all right.
Now, Mr. Gary, because we take what we know for granted now, right? When you say your record prior to MAIA might have been 15 grand, you were grossing 10,000 average, and now you hit 85,000 in a month, 67,000 in a month. And then you talk about, I remember when I got my first paid in full, the industry right now is going to say, "Oh, so what they do is tell you to cash out all their people and try to get all this money." That's what the industry is going to believe now.
Yeah. I was worried about that in the beginning too, because I was like, what happens? You just cash it? No, it's nothing even like that. There's so much to these systems that build each other. And I'm advertising for you now, man. This is amazing, but it's the truth. The systems build each other. It's not one thing. It's not a one-trick pony. It's not like, oh, hey, you get a bunch of paid in fulls. No, that would be ridiculous. That would not be smart. It's the way everything everything supports itself. There's a whole feed that works, man. And the other thing I have to say, for anybody saying that or doubting anything, part of what really signed me on to you guys wasn't us doing better, making more money. That was awesome. But I talked to Tassoul one time, or it might have been a couple times. And I called and I asked him about doing something. And I realized now that I was just getting excited. I was like, oh man, I need to make this work. And he told me, no, that's not, there's no integrity in that. Like, you can't do that because it would do this person wrong. And he told me that a couple times and set me straight. And I was like, oh, you're right. But that integrity, him saying that to me and calling me when that would have made me money, but he said, no, that's not the right thing to do. That's what committed me. That's when I knew. I was like, okay, cool. These guys have integrity. This isn't just about, hey, get some money. The fact that he did that sold me.
Tass?
So cheers to you, Tass, because that was solid.
Good, man. Yeah, listen, I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I think, sometimes when people, like you said, view the success from the outside looking in, it can be one of those things where we just think that, oh, they're just doing these things and it's a quick Band-Aid or it's a quick boost of cash or injection of cash and this is what they're doing. And And we say this all the time because when, you know, as I talk with people and consult with people, and we're making adjustments and we're implementing systems, their head immediately goes to, yeah, but what about my existing students, right? And like if we talk about a price increase as an example, not everybody does a price increase. We don't do that across the board for everybody because it's not fair to your existing people that were there. So there's a right way to do it. And by the way, that's just me feeding it forward. Your exact reason for getting on board was the same exact reason that I got on board, because every other consulting company that I was with, and I can say this because I was with them, it just seemed like we were dealing the cards with, you know, some of the cards under the table. And when I saw the transparency that Metzger had and how he did things, that was the reason that I gravitated. I'll never forget. I watched him give his leasing agreement, help me out, Metzger. His license agreement. Thank you. His license agreement to a client and said, just don't knock it off like 100%. Just, I mean, you can take it to review it. I'm like, dude, he just gave away his license agreement for what he does for his schools for somebody else to look at, that he's spent thousands and thousands of not only dollars but hours going through, and just like willingly just gave it to somebody, right? So, and I'm not trying to open the door for everyone to call and ask for the license agreement, but my point is the transparency and just the willingness to give goes a long way. And then you do that, and you do that with your students. It just keeps carrying forward. That's really, for me, that's why it's hard for me to say no to consulting clients, right? Because it's like, when I see someone that we can help, and I see that we can do that, it excites me because I know that we can do it the right way, and that will carry forward. And you're doing the same thing for your students. You're making sure that you take care of the people that got you to where you are, and we build these business systems, and that's how we can be successful for the long term, not just a short-term spike in income, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's how you're successful, really. I mean, it's what life's about. I mean, you can make a bunch of money if you're not treating people right. I mean, it's no good. I mean, my instructor taught me for free because my mom couldn't afford it. I didn't have a daycare to go to. I rode my bike after school to his place. He didn't have a daycare. He just let me go. And he trained me. He put me training, made me do my homework, let me stay there until my mom got off work, come get me. I mean, he took care of me. And I saw him take care of so many people, you know, when they couldn't afford it or whatever. And that's always been the spirit I wanted to have here. And it's what we have here.
Right.
And this does not conflict with that. This helps support that more so. I'm able to do scholarships easier.
Right.
You know, I've got multiple scholarships out there now. And it's like, cool, we can support. I can afford to give you your sparring gear for free. I can afford to do this for you. And it's amazing. And people are in the office crying when they hear it. And then I'm crying. And it's beautiful. It's fantastic, man. It's exactly what I always wanted it to be.
That's awesome.
Hey, there's no crying in martial arts.
Oh man, then you got to kick me out, brother.
Hey, let me say to that point. Now, you guys gave two examples. Tass, you just gave an example as a client as well,
right?
As so did Mr. Gary, as far as what got you guys to gravitate over into MAIA. But Tass, now flip the hat around. Actually, no, flip the hat around. No, as a consultant, Mr. Gary, what you were saying is why we do what we do. I love it when somebody comes on that can tell the industry, right, that we are for real, that we will help anybody as much as we can, whether you have money or not, right? But at the end of the day, we are subcontractors for a company out of Oklahoma City. The parent company is Century. There's a fee for consulting. But as you said, Tass worked with you for 3 months for free when you couldn't afford it. I've done that the same way. All of the consultants, if you're in our family, we're going to help. Here's where we stop helping, though. When people don't take action, we cannot waste our time because we want to help people that want to be helped. And if somebody doesn't have the money yet, by the way, we have a gentleman within the last 6 months, Tass, we won't mention the person. This person signed up for MAIA. And when I realized where they were at with their situation, I called them and told them, I said, hey, I called Oklahoma. We canceled your program. I don't want to burden you with that stress when you're not ready for that yet, that financial commitment. we got to help you for free. So, and I think they were actually upset that I canceled their program. But we are not going to take money from someone who I don't feel is ready to pay the money for consulting, whatever that amount is, if they're not in a situation where they can do it, number one, or number two, where we see that they're not action takers. And if you're not an action taker, not only are we not going to take your money, but we're not going to work with you. We don't have the time. And I don't know if that comes across wrong, but we cannot work with people that are not taking action. If you come to us for help and say, how do we do this? And we tell you and you're like, yeah, but, oh, that doesn't work here. Did you do it? No, I didn't do it. I modified it. I changed it. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. We can't help you.
Yeah. Yep. I tell my guys all the time, we've learned this because I used to be like that. He'd give me, I'd do it though, but he'd give me something to do. Tassoul would give me something. I'd be like, I don't know, dude, if I change it like this. And he'd be like, just trust me, Mr. Gary. I'd be like, all right. And so now I have a thing. If the guys, my instructors, I told them we're going to make wristbands that say, what would Tassoul do? And there's no question. I tell them, if Tassoul or Metzger tells me to do something, we're going to do it just like that, man. It's going to work. And now, it took a little while to convert them because my instructors have, my chief instructor and senior instructor been with me since they were like 5, 6 years old. They were students of mine and they've been teaching under me for a long time. So coming here, they were from the same kind of thing. And as I show this to them, but they're pumped. And honestly, the best part of all this is what I can give to them. Like they're on stuff I guess people don't know about right now, but there's a whole pathway for employees, for instructors that can make a career out of something I never had.
And by the way, you and I just had that conversation about a month or so ago, I think.
Yeah.
And your guys are making more than you ever made.
Ever.
Prior.
My chief is making more than I ever made in 20-something years of teaching, you know.
Even as an owner prior to MAIA, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, as an owner, the crazy thing, what I had that loan out on the school and I had a 4 to 5 year plan to pay it back. And this is pretty nuts. After getting with MAIA, it took off. I actually paid it off in 22 months. I would still be paying my loan off to this school, but and it was not,
and you don't have to say the amount, but it was not a small loan.
No, it was not a small loan. It ended up way more than I thought it was going to be because of different things that happened with it. But yeah, it was crazy to pay it off that amount. So yeah, I was making nothing. And as soon as I started making something, you know, I cut them in 100%. Like, let's go, let's get you guys growing. And then I finally got them on the instructor pathway this year. And yeah, it's amazing to see. I mean, that felt better than me getting a paycheck. You know, it really did, to sit down and look at my boys and be like, hey, look, got you a career, man. You're going to be all right. We're going to do this. And they were just like, man, thanks. And and then you guys got me to get a program director. And now my life, like I'm aging backwards now. I feel amazing. Program director, man, 100%. If anybody didn't have one, if you can afford it, get one. Change your life.
Well, easy, everybody. You got to know how to get the right one and what to do.
And he even told me, he's like, I think this program director was an angel that fell from heaven.
Oh,
he said she's doing a bang up job, right?
She's amazing.
Yeah,
she's way better than me for her job.
So then I'm gonna call this out. So, Mr. Gary, we have you on because you have a story, right?
Sure.
And you know, we come across sometimes frustrated, passionate, bad humor, because we know how much we can help other people in this industry. And we're trying everything. When people look at this as they tune in and tune out and say, oh, it's just another infomercial for MAIA. Yes, it is. But it's an infomercial for whoever's watching who's willing to take action. Because all of the different people that have been on here, and your story is unbelievable because you were skeptical. And then you had to convince investors like, hey, I want to pay out money to get information on this. Skeptical, you know, well, okay, if you say so, right? But we know what we can do for people. And I don't know how else to try to convince people that I feel, by the way, I believe every consultant company should feel this way. All of them. But I don't feel like there's anybody better. I mean, that just comes across so pompous. But the reason I say that is because Tassoul not only has been with a ton of different companies, we have so many clients that have been with a ton of different companies. But for what we do, now, what we do, okay, I don't think there's anybody better that can help, because number one, this is not how we put food on our table, and we will help people for free if we have to. If they want help and they can't afford it yet, we will give them tasks. They got to go execute. They can come back to the well, and we will help them for 3 months. Who was it, Tass? Who was it that we were talking about? That wasn't there? It was Birch. You helped him for 6 months, I think, before we said, okay, you've got all this success. Now it's time to sign up for the program.
Right.
And that was a process for 2 hours. And he kept it a secret from his wife even. But 6 months of helping him, because we are passionate. Our number one focus is to help and professionalize this industry. Number one, right? Number two, look, the day that I die, I'd love our martial arts industry, the industry that gave me everything, to say, wow, he made a little impact on the industry. That's the second reason. My third or fourth or fifth reason may be financial, but that financial is not for me. That financial is for the Michael Perrys and the Stephanies and the Ernies and my team and the MAIA team, so they can have something to grow, because they kind of run behind the scenes all of this stuff. So our motivations are different. And then the last reason I will say is because we talk to you one-on-one, and no other consulting company can talk one-on-one as often as us with the number of people, because it's not a scalable business model. They would be crazy to do that. If I owned my own consulting company, I wouldn't do a model of one-on-one, because I can only take on maybe 30 people before I start really getting stressed out and having no life, because I'm constantly on the phone, as we have access to, and Mr. Gary, when you call us, we answer, or we call you back within the day, right?
About 3 weeks. No, I'm joking. Yeah.
I'm talking about me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I always get responses. And even if like with Mr. Metzger, with you, if you can't get to me, you will have somebody get to me like that. Like if it's, hey, I'm busy, but I'm going to put you on the line with this, and you'll have somebody get to me. There's never just like a deadline. Shane, I mean, I hit him up last night at like 9 o'clock or something. He texts me back. I mean, all the time. Yeah.
That's the point. The point is, we can't do that with 100 people. We can't service that. So other consulting companies should do group consulting. But what people don't understand is it's not Metzger or Tassoul, right? It's the stuff that you have done that, when we have a one-on-one conversation with anybody, you're going to say, hey, you know what we did last week that worked really well? And we are going to say, what? And you're going to tell us, well, what I did is I tweaked this and I did this. And I'm like, man, that's a great idea. And then we're going to try it. And if it works, we're going to try to systemize it. And then it's going to become part of the MAIA system. So the MAIA system truly is all of the great things that have worked for martial artists all over the world into one system. And we got the benefit of hearing that. And hearing it from you and you and you and you and you and all these people. And I just want people in this industry to know that, because, like, look, I hope that because of the decisions you made and because of the action that you've taken, that your life is forever changed now, as opposed to if you didn't take action. We love hearing these stories. Tass and I talk about it at least once a week, at least once a week. I mean, he's, stressed sometimes, and there's a week where it's just like pounding with clients, and we'll be talking at 11 o'clock at night, and he'll say, but you know what, man? So-and-so just did this, and they hit this, and and he goes, that's what keeps me, doing this. And it's hard sometimes, but I really want to help as many people as we can. And your story is unique to yourself, but it's not unique to other people out there. And if you can it sounds like a sales thing, but if you can convince one person to pick up a phone or just reach out to us, if they can't afford it, we're not going to charge them. But we will never tell somebody, well, we can't help you until you start paying us. We will never, ever, ever do that. ever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, in this industry, I mean, and this is going to sound on the businessy side of it, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be a way to measure success, right? And in business, it's not the only way, but one of the ways to measure success is dollars in the bank account, dollars coming in. And I don't want to people to misunderstand that, because you can be a high grossing school with an extremely high overhead. And that's the other thing. We actually had a conversation about you potentially getting a bigger space. I'm like, no, we have a schedule challenge. We'll get the schedule fixed. We're very mindful of those things because, listen, gross feeds the ego, net feeds the family. And we want to make sure that you have both. And we don't need to move into bigger facilities and take on more expenses and have all the extra things. We've really figured out that way, because of all the people that we talk to and we see happen over and over, that we can have great gross revenue months and have great net profit, which you've experienced. And I remember you had said to me in the last couple of weeks, it was something you can tell the story, but it's something about looking at some of these guys that had all this money. You're like, what planet are you on? And now, remember when you said that to me and how you're feeling now?
Yeah, I was just telling Mr. Perry, I was like, I'm reading the Tony Robbins financial book, trying to learn how to manage anything. And I told him, I was like, I've never been in a position where I could even think about that. You know what I mean? I grew up pretty poor, so never thought about that. It was just trying to get a paycheck, figure out. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh, I can learn how to do things. I have that ability. It's like you said, people would talk about money. I was with a buddy and he was talking about buying a piece of land. He's talking about like $1 million. And to me, that's like space cadet money. It's like, what are you talking about? It doesn't even exist. But him talking there, I was like, oh, I can see like getting to that. Okay. Like it made sense now, it's a possibility. It's like a world opened up. So yeah, it's very cool.
That's awesome.
It's just new possibility.
And by the way, I don't want to mislead people that money equals success, right? You said it earlier, Mr. Gary. It's like, no, money doesn't equal success.
It takes, I'll tell you what it does. It's a tool. It's a tool. For me, the money that comes in allows me to, like, I haven't bought anything new. I got myself a new guitar because that's what I do. But other than that, no, it's an ability to have the lifestyle that you want to have, that I want to have, take care of my people. I mean, every time we do good, my guys do good. I mean, we're going axe throwing in a couple weeks with all my employees. I like to be able to take them out to do stuff, so all those things, it's the lifestyle. It's being able to do those things and take care of my people. I know that I can feed my daughter. I tell you what, my first paycheck, I went and bought my daughter a pair of socks, or not a pair of socks, a bag of socks. But literally, that was not easy to do before that. I was struggling. So when I took her and I was like, yeah, baby, need some socks. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. That was amazing. That's a completely different life from struggling and being broke. So it's not about the money. The money's a tool. It's what you do with it. So for me, it's just being able to be here and do what I love. Martial arts, I love it. I come in here, I hug everybody that walks in the door. We shake hands, we talk. I know these people, we support each other. It's the world. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And being able to give more with that money, is amazing.
So real quick, because I don't know the answer to this, but this is another thing that resonates in the industry. How many students were you running on average prior to MAIA?
I think I got up to about 100. I must have been around 100 and something. I'm not sure, but I must have been maybe around 100 and something. And now we are at 345. It's nuts. And the other thing was the schedule Tassoul helped me with. There's no way we could have ran that. I had an old school schedule. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. The old school schedule. Here's your days. Come at this time. By your belt level. This and that, And that was just impossible to run. So running the schedule now, I mean, we went from running 4 classes a day or 5 classes to we're about to go to like 8. So, and you're able to actually move those guys around. So I'll work on a schedule. I send it to Tass. Tass hits me back up. Hey, change this around here, whatever. And it works. It works. We're able to, and then the systems, all the systems that you've taught me to be able to handle that amount of students. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I worked in a school. We had like 10 instructors and we had like 150 students. I have a chief, a senior, and now I have 2 new assistants that just started. They're kids. They're like 16, 17, and they're learning. So that's it. Those guys run 345 students, and then plus like 40 something after schoolers. You know, those guys run those classes. It's learning how to do that, you know, not having the small little break off separated like it used to be, learning to put that class together the right way. And everybody's excited. The other crazy thing is that I don't even know what this has to do, but my guys always used to hate sparring. People don't want to go to sparring class. My whole life, everybody I've taught, except the guys who are brawlers, but the kids, I don't want to spar, it hurts. These kids love it. It's the mood of the class. It's the way everything's presented now. They come in, they have their gear on, they're ready to go. It's such a change, man. It's awesome.
That's
Well,
great.
we talk about this too, man. You know, we mentioned after school and summer camp, and you know, and he happens to do after school, which is fine. But when we started working together, I mean, your after school was here, and your martial arts was here, and now your martial arts is here, and your after school has. I mean, it's towered over your after school. I mean, I'm trying to get him to get rid of after school, but that's a different conversation. But no, he's doing a great job. And the other thing that they have is they have culture. And I mean, just by watching and listening to Mr. Gary, you can see and feel the energy and how he brings that into a school. I've been on the call with him on calls with him when he's actually at the school and he's talking to parents, or you know, he's not paying attention to me. No, I'm just teasing. He's talking to people as they're coming in, but he always makes it a point to say hi or hello, and the energy there. And culture is one of those things that it's so hard to teach, and you've got it, and you have that, and you got the business systems, and you still have more room to go up, my friend. It's unbelievable, and I'm just number one. I'm proud of you, right? And I say that because I always say that it's not me. Right. It's me giving the systems that I learned, right, that's happened to work for us and being the conduit, but it takes the person on the other end to actually go and implement and execute those systems. And that's what you've done. And it's been a long time, man, since, you know, from where you were working in the schools before to where you are today. And now it's like, man, you've gotten to the point. We always like to say this, you know, at first we're going to feel like we're overworked and underpaid, and eventually we want to feel like we're underworked and overpaid. And now that you've got your full-time staff and your team, it allows you to be able to work a little bit more on the business as opposed to in the business, provide careers for all of these guys. And, you know, back to the money thing that Met said, look, he said this all the time, money gives you options. Had you made all that money and went and bought yourself a new Lambo and did this and did all that stuff, that's different. You didn't do that, right? You had options, and your options were, I'm going to be the rising tide, and we're going to pull everybody up with me. Your guys are making more. They're excited. You're investing back in the school. You get a program director. I mean, you're making all the right decisions and doing all the right things, and you'll continue to flourish and continue to grow. And it's just, you're the reason, right? You're the reason why we do what we do. At the end of the day, it's about seeing that success and watching people and being able to have a small part in helping somebody so they can change their life and change the trajectory of their life forever, and the people around them, for that matter. So that's.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. Yeah, you've helped me so much, man. I mean, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and that's not I know it's like a quote you put on a commercial, man, but it's the truth. It really is. I mean, aside from opening my school, joining you guys was definitely the best decision I've made. I mean, that's changed everything, man. And you know, the McDojo comment that Mr. Metzger said earlier, you know, I want to address that because I know that's a thing, and I know there are schools like that, and I know there are all kinds of sports. I was talking to one of the moms the other day, and she came in and she goes, "You guys are really growing." And I said, yeah, we are, you know, and I always kind of get worried. I'm like, is that okay? Like, are you guys still happy, you know? And she goes, "I just want to tell you, we did gymnastics, we did this and that." And she's like, "We quit all that because we just felt like a number." She goes, we're somebody here. Like, when we come here, y'all know every kid's name. You come out and you talk to us and think. So, and that made me feel amazing. I was like, that is exactly what I want. And we're not losing that. So if anybody's scared of becoming a McDojo and having too many students, losing the quality or whatever it is, that's just superstitious thinking. It's not real. It's what you make of it. You can do that. I mean, you can, sure, go ahead. But if you don't, you don't. We're running 300 something students, doing great, and we still know everybody. We still connect with the parents. We still have people loving it and feeling like they're a person, not a number. So you don't lose any of that. That's a choice.
And that's important because that's just a preconceived notion in a lot of people's minds, but it's a justification on fear on why they don't want to take a leap and just see what we can offer them. And really, again, I say that because I just know how much we can help. And these stories are awesome, man. It's inspiring, even for me. It's inspiring to hear your journey on this. And I like Mr. Hanzu. He goes, I feel like I'm listening to my future special guest show appearance. This is awesome. I mean, you're inspiring people. And then Miss Geely, you know, said being around successful school owners and seeing their successes make you realize that it's attainable and that you can do it too. It makes you up your game because they did it. So can we. So we did, you know, that's what we love. We love that. We love hearing it. And just keep it going, man. And that's why you can call it 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. And I know that there was a time, I learned this years ago, this is like 15 years ago. I gave everyone back in the day when I had a home phone, I gave people my home phone. It'd be 11:30 at night, my home phone would be ringing. And then when my daughter was born, my phone's ringing at 11:30, and I had some money, so I can afford caller ID. So I had caller ID. And I was like, holy, it's so-and-so calling. A client is calling my house at 11:30. And I said, you know what? Ugh, I hate to do this. I'm never going to answer my home phone again. They can call my cell. If they call my cell, I'll answer it, because I needed to cut that out. But I wanted to make myself available all the time, anytime, to serve the people who want to grow. And that's what we try to do, man. And I love it. You know, we have a lot of fun doing this. But if somebody just asked me, you know, why do I do it? Well, you know, the other thing is somebody put a post out like 2-3 weeks ago in Century Martial Arts School Network. You know, these consultants, and not referencing MAIA, just consultants in general, can't make their money in their schools, so they make their money on consulting on us, right? Because they can't make enough in the schools. And that could be true for a lot of people, but that is not true for our team. It's not true for our team. And it's about giving back and helping, and it's that passion and drive to just change lives, man. I can't say it enough, but you know.
Yeah. They haven't seen a CMA school. and my guys, that's the other cool thing, is that my chief instructor has Peterman's number. You know, one of your head instructor that runs all this stuff, and he'll hit him up anytime. He'll text him. I say, he'll run something by me. I say, text Peterman, see what he says, you know, and Peterman will get right back to him, take his call, and he's a busy guy. So it's not just me talking to you guys. My guys are talking to your guys. It's a team.
Well, you know, one of the philosophies, are you familiar with Zig Ziglar?
Yeah, we were just talking about him earlier, me and Mr. Perry.
Zig Ziglar. Yeah. Well, you can have anything in life that you want as long as you help others get what they want. And that's our philosophy. We want to help people, and we just believe it'll pay back some way, somehow. You know, it'll pay back, and it has. I couldn't thank all of you enough because of what we're part of. And we're school owners just like you. We just happen to be the seed. We just happen to start it. But my guys get as much benefit of being part of Elite or CMA as any other school owner, you know, and we get just as much benefit. And I love it. I just love being around you guys. I love the events, and I love these chats, and I love hearing the success stories. And I love when Tassoul calls me and tells me a success story that you had or one of the other clients had. I love hearing it. Or Klingenmeyer texting me saying, you know, hey, so-and-so just hit, you know, 50K when this person started and they were at 5, you know? So thank you. I want to just say thank you, because I love this. It's inspiring.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you guys. Y'all been there all the time with us, man. Y'all have helped me. Yes, I've taken the action. I appreciate y'all acknowledging that, for sure. Absolutely. It's been a work. It's been the work, but the guidance, man. I mean, you know, if you're walking in the dark, you didn't know where you're going. I mean, what you guys basically did, I was going through the trees trying to cut them down and figure my way out. And you guys were like, here's the map, dude. Here's a path. You got to do it, but here's the path. And that was huge. That was huge. It stopped so many mistakes. You know, it stopped so many forks in the road for me having to correct.
Well,
it's because we
already made the mistakes for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Appreciate you.
You know, and Matt, you said this, but I want to go back on the reason why. You know, you guys seriously answer your calls at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, or you know, any day that they call you. And yeah, this is. I mean, I won't tell you the company, but I remember back in the day being consulted. It was 1 20-minute call a month. And by the way, I had to, this is going to be how long this was. I had to fax in my questions. Like, that was it. And if I missed that mark or we got to 20 minutes, it was like, all right, time's up. The reason why we do that and why we will you have our cell number, you can call us, text us whenever you want, is because you just don't want people getting stuck. I mean, we just know so often we're like excited about implementing and executing, and then we're going to get ready, and they're like, oh, and then we have this thought and we get stuck and we're not sure what to do. We're not going to wait 4 weeks to get on another 20-minute consult call. Like, that's just not what we do, right? So there's a scheduled call that we have, of course, but in the meantime, if you need anything, you call, you text, whatever, and we take care of it, because that's what's keeping you moving forward. And that's one of the big reasons where I believe all the success is. And it's those people, you know, that ask the questions, do the things. I was that way with Metzger. I mean, we were on calls for a while, and I called back the next day, and I'm calling, and I remember him telling me, he said, you know, the only reason that I'm on these calls with you so long, and it's what he said earlier, is because you're a guy that takes action. So he was willing to give me whatever I wanted. If I was the guy that called him and wanted to keep him on for 45 minutes or an hour, and then I called him the next day and he said, well, how'd you get the other thing done? Well, no, but I need this other stuff. That one, first of all, wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair for me to do that to him, right? And being a consultant now, it's like, yeah, that's frustrating when you're giving people things to do. If you're just calling to call to get like, well, what else should I do when we're not taking action? That's where it gets frustrating. But that's what he did for me, man. And that's why we were able to move so fast. And that's why we, you know, we'll talk to anybody anytime, because we want to keep the ball moving forward, keep the ball moving down the field. And that's where success is, man. Success loves speed. And the faster we go, and we're here for you every step of the way. And that's why we do it. So love it. Love all the success, man. Appreciate you, and gotten to know you and as a friend. And it's been an awesome ride. And look, I mean, 2019, you opened your school, right? You came on board in November 2020, right? November 2020?
Yeah.
We haven't even been in 2 years. I mean, it's been like, right?
It's a year and a half.
Oh, you're right. It hadn't even been 2 years.
You think about that. November will be 24 months, man. Think about what you can accomplish. It's crazy.
It's such a different school.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's so crazy.
So,
well, hey, awesome story, my friend. And we love having you in the family. We really do. You're one of the good guys. So we appreciate you. And as always, if you need anything, we're here. And hopefully maybe somebody said, you know what, maybe I'll call these guys and just see if they can do anything. And, you know, we'll take the call and we'll see if we can help. And if it's just a quick question, we'll just answer the question and go on your merry way, because we're here. When people are ready, we're here. So thank you, sir, for sharing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Are you coming to the Super Show? Oh, but you're coming to Tampa in a couple weeks.
I'm going to Tampa for a couple of seminars, and then my guys are going for the instructor college, which is going to be super rad. I'm excited about that. So I'm going to be there. Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, sir. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks much.
Thanks,
bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.